Alright, shalom, shalom. I'm going to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai is the Son of the living power, the Messiah, which these are the true names of the Most High and His only begotten Son, in the ancient Hebrew tongue, in Lashon Kodash, which means holy language. Also want to give double honors to the other apostles, and great most only peace and blessings unto the elect, and salute shalom to the fellow laborers in His truth. Right, in this lesson, I wanted to touch on a few things, a few things I was meditating on last night, but I couldn't really get into it, due to my sleep schedule. But this lesson basically is going to be concerning on how these scoffers and these opposers, if you will, these unbelievers, are going to be ashamed at the end of the day, are going to be disappointed at the end of the day. Right? Because Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is stretching forth His hand. It has been stretching forth His hand towards Israel, man. Towards the so-called Black, Latino, Native Indians all day. But the people refuse help. The people refuse their own healings, if you will. Right, and that arm that stretched forth comes in the form of the prophets. That arm stretched forth comes in the form of the prophets. In fact, let's go to the book of Zechariah real quick. Chapter 7, verse 11. It says, "But they refused to hearken and pulled away the shoulder." Now this is concerning the 2/3 of Israel. It says, "But they refused to hearken and pulled away the shoulder." And that's exactly what Jake is doing today. By refusing this counsel, refusing this knowledge, this understanding, and refusing to watch the videos. Refusing to even give ear to the prophets, whether on the streets, whether they're preaching on the streets, or while they're preaching on these videos, man, on these different platforms. This is but they refuse to hearken, what to hear, and pulled away the shoulder and stopped their ears that they should not hear. And what they're doing today, turning away these videos, ignoring the prophets, whether you walking straight past them. Verse 12 says, "Yeah, they made their hearts as an adamant stone." Now what that represents, being stubborn, hard-headed, stubborn. What you're not open-minded towards the truth. It says, "Yeah, they made their hearts as an adamant stone," which really is an evil heart of unbelief. Now the heart represents the mind. It says, "At least they should hear the law, the law, statutes, commandments." And the word says, "At least they should hear the law." And really, when you go into the scriptures, and this is proof that we have to touch on the Old Testament, and not only the New Testament only, but we have to touch both on the old and the new. You can't have the new without the old, nor the old without the new. That's why Yahweh Shai gave us a parable concerning the treasure box that have old and new things within it. I'm loosely paraphrasing concerning that parable, if you will. Right, but you got to pull both old and new things out of the treasure box, man. Out of the treasure, man. Out of the treasury, if you will. And that represents the Old and New Testament. If you really want to be a learned man in the scriptures, if you really want to be skillful, because you got to bring forth the old and the new, man. You got to touch on the old and the new. You got to speak according to the Old and the New. You got to know the Old and the New Testament. Right? So when it speaks about the law, it's not only concerning the law, statutes, commandments. It's not only concerning the book of laws or the book of Moses, such as Deuteronomy, Leviticus, and I forgot Deuteronomy, Leviticus, and Numbers. I think those are the three books of the laws, if you will. Deuteronomy, Leviticus, and Numbers. Right, so that's the laws, statutes, commandments. But when you go into the scriptures, you'll find out that sometimes the law represents the whole book of the Old Testament. The whole Old Testament. Right? And for proof, did not Yahushua speak about a scripture that was written in the law? Right? That ye are gods? Is this not written in your law? Right? So that's proof that the Old Testament is the law as well. Or is known as the book of the law as well. Not only those three books. Right? And you got Christians, especially Black, Latino, Native, Black Christianity, they reject the Old Testament because the Old Testament could contradict their ways. And so because the so-called Black, Latino, Native Indians hate reproof and hate good and righteousness and hate the laws and love their ways, such as eating abominable foods, eating shrimp, crabs, and lobster, cutting their beards off, getting shape-ups, tattoos. Since they love those ways and ways like that, they will never come to the Old Testament and truly hold to that way. If you will. Continue on. So now we know what that means, that at least they should hear the law. It says, yeah, they made the hearts as an adamant stone, at least they should hear the law. So basically they're stubborn. They're unruly, meaning what? Not willing to yield to the truth, which is, what is the truth? The word. Both the old and new. It says, and the words which Yahweh of hosts have sent in his spirit by the former prophets. So the true prophets and teachers and apostles today, right? Because it tell you in the book of 1 Corinthians that the spirit of the prophets are subject to the prophets. So the prophets of old are here today, and that's proof of reincarnation, which means again in the flesh, or back in the flesh. And when you come into the true understanding of the Bible, you'll understand that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai have been created a system, arranged a system known as reincarnation. Where after the third and fourth generation, you may come back. After you die, after the third and fourth generation, after your death, you'll come back again. But that's a lesson on a whole another time. Right, so Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua have again set up prophets, pastors, to feed the people knowledge and understanding, which I believe, according to faith, are the men at Great Millstone, starting with the elder apostles on down. Also the men of valor. Also the men that are not officially a part of the camp of GMS, but still walk towards that or subscribe towards that true sound form of doctrine, teaching. Right, and these men that have learned this truth and teach this truth correctly are teaching this truth are, teaching this through the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Which anybody that teaches this word and prophesy correctly and right, they're prophets, man. But the people, they're refusing the prophets, and refusing the prophets is refusing Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua and the help of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Right? Because we only have one Savior, and that's Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. It says, in the words which Yahweh of hosts have sent in His Spirit by the former prophets. And again, the former prophets are here today, doing what they did in the past. It says, therefore came a great wrath from Yahweh of hosts. So there is going to come a great wrath to Israel, man. To Israel, man. And tell you in the book of I think in the New Testament that judgment must first begin at the house of God. So judgment is going to first begin with us, with Israel, man. And anyone that's not right with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, and that's not walking according to the truth, it's not worshiping Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua in spirit and truth, may be cut off and may be judged. Let's continue on, verse 13. It says, therefore it has come to pass that as he cried, and they would not hear. And and how is the Lord crying to His people? The Lord's not literally crying. The Lord is not literally calling out to Israel with His own mouth, but He's crying to Israel, or He's using His prophets, if you will. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is using the prophets, the true prophets and teachers and apostles and evangelists and pastors and bishops to what? To cry for Him or for His part. That's why the apostles will be known as the ambassadors of Yahushua. Now, was an ambassador somebody that was sent by a king, or that was sent for the part of a king or a leader? And the prophets, they're for the part of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. So the prophets are the ones crying through the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Now, when it says crying, it's not literal, or it's not speaking in a sense of tears falling down the face, but speaking in a sense of calling out to the people. And sometimes when you come across the prophets on the highways and byways and the hedges and the chief places in the cities, on the sidewalks, in different public places, what they're doing, they're speaking aloud, like a trumpet, clamorous, like, if you will. Clamor meaning what? Speaking aloud, yelling, and that's what sometimes what the prophets do. So our voice may reach to the ears that's walking by. It says, therefore it has come to pass that as he cried, and they would not hear, and the people, they're not hearing His word, they're not hearing the prophets. So they cried, and I would not hear. So it's going to come a time when the tables going to turn, when the people are going to cry because of danger and death, because of adversity and tribulation, but the Lord's not going to save them. It says, save Yahweh of hosts. Let's go to the book of so I had to get that scripture out of the way, where I have a couple of scriptures lined up. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 49, verse 1. It says, listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, ye people from far. Yahweh hath called me from the womb, From the bowels of my mother hath he made mention of my name. And he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand hath he hid me. And made me a polished shaft. In his quiver hath he hid me. Now that's, this scriptures, this chapter, the scriptures concerning, Yahweh Shai. But you can also apply this to the prophets. Because ultimately the prophets are not made prophets on the spot. But the prophets were ordained to be prophets even before the womb. Even in the womb. In the womb and before the womb. Before they was babies in the womb, man. Or you could say in the womb. The prophets today, they were ordained or chosen to be prophets when they was in the womb. It says, and he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. Yeah, and this word is quick and powerful. It's more powerful than any weapon. Right, the scriptures, Paul said the weapons of our warfare are not carnal but spiritual. And this word is the sword of the spirit. Sharper than any two-edged sword. Quick and powerful. Now that word quick means alive. So when people hear this word, sometimes they get pricked in the heart. They get cut. They feel shame. They feel regret. They feel fear. Some feel joy because it's good news. It's the gospel. Verse 2 says, and he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand have he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. Now the word shaft means an arrow. Right? And what an arrow do? You shoot at the target. Now the prophets and teaching apostles and evangelists today, what they do, they get on everybody. They get on everybody in case. They rebuke, they reprove, and they righteously criticize. Now, when I say criticize is not a bad thing. It's not a bad word. Really rebuke and reproof goes, it's synonymous to the word criticize. And, it's not, do not criticism. Sometimes there's bad criticism, but there's also good criticism. Right? And that's what the prophets do. They criticize correctly, and they bring out the scriptures, man. And some people reject it because it makes them feel shame and they don't want to change. And some people receive it because they feel shame and they repent and convert. It says, and made me a polished shaft, and his quiver hath he hid me. Now the word quiver means an arrow case. So, and that's what the apostles, they get on everybody. The prophets, they get on everybody. Verse 3 says, and said unto me, thou art my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. And we are the servant of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Right? And the Lord will be glorified in us when we get those new bodies and when we are manifested to be the sons of God. Verse 4 it says, then I said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength for naught. Now what that's concerning? What are the men of the Lord doing today? They're laboring. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all in, it's all in vain in a sense of they're not, they don't have the ability. The men of the Lord is laboring in vain only in the sense of because we don't have the ability to really save anybody. It's really Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, which giveth man knowledge, which openeth the ears of man, which increaseth a man's knowledge and understanding, and a man's faith. So really, when the prophets and teachers and apostles go out there and preach the word, or make a video and teach the word, they're just, doing their part. They're just vessels, right? Because how many people the prophets done teach, and that was, in vain. And people that heard the prophets didn't hear. So really it's Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, which giveth man revelations, which revealeth the secret unto man. Right? But at the same time, it is not, vain in the sense of, it's for our profit. We gain when we teach the word. This is a necessity. This is how we live. This is our life. This is our works. Faith without works is dead. So really, is in vain, but not in vain. So it says, then I said, I have labored in vain, I have spent my strength for naught. Right? And what are we putting our strength towards? Towards this ministry, towards teaching the word, towards preaching, towards studying, towards edifying the people. Even though, at the end of the day, the elect are, already predestined to be saved. And while the prophets are trying to teach the world of Israel, there's already people who's going to be saved regardless, But at the end of the day, this is still prophecy that we have to teach the word, And that's still, necessary. It's still necessary to teach this word. So it's, it's vain, in one sense, in one form of sense, if you will. I have spent my strength for naught and in vain. Yet surely my judgment is with the Lord, and my work with my God. So at the end of the day, even though we're not, we don't have the ability to save anybody, we're still going out there and teach the word, hoping to, be those vessels to, wake up anybody, to be those vessels to edify the elect, to wake up the elect. And at the end of the day, there's a reward for us. There's a reward. Now, Paul gave us an example. Paul gave us an example, which this example was concerning. Let's get that example. It's a very good example, if you will. First Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7. It says, who goeth a warfare at any time at his own charge? Who plant, and this is the example I was, finna touch on. It says, who planteth a vineyard and eateth not of the fruit thereof? And, and that planting, this is a form of planting. While we are the husbandman. Or we're the planters, if you will. We're building, we're planting, we're sowing this word amongst the earth, amongst the people, in the midst of the people. Right? Shall we not eat the fruit thereof? Shall we not, gain our rewards for doing that? It says, yet surely my judgment is with Yahweh, and my work with my God. So our reward is with, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And we're going to get our reward, which is salvation, from Yahweh Shai when he come back. Verse 5, this is the part when they get. It says, and now saith Yahweh that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. And yet, and that's what we do. All right, Lord willing, a preacher or a pastor, whatever, operation I was given, Lord willing, I'm a faithful servant at the end of the day. Right, but the prophets are used to bring Israel back to him. Right, it says, though Israel be not gathered. So and the 2/3 of Israel are not going to seek the Lord. But a remnant, which means a small part or a small portion, are going to seek the Lord. Going to come back to the Lord. Right, it says, though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of Yahweh, and my God shall be my strength. What we're doing is a great thing. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai will not be forgetful of our labor of love in his name. Let's go to the book of Salaki. Bear with me real quick. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 20. Jeremiah spoke about, the unbelievers, the 2/3 of Israel that refuse this word and that come against this word in the prophets. This book of Jeremiah, chapter 20, verse 7. It says, "O Yahweh, thou hast deceived me." And these are, when you go into this chapter, it's basically Jeremiah complaining. Let's go down to verse 8, right? Now, when Jeremiah said, "Oh Yahweh, thou hast deceived me," basically that was not literal deceive me, but basically him complaining on how just basically complaining of his hardships. Complaining of his hardship and his work. It's not no easy thing. It's not no easy path. It's not no cakewalk. You come into this thing, you're gonna think it's gonna be smooth, man. All is well. Ain't no cakewalk, man. It's difficult, man. Let's get verse 8. Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 8. It says, "For since I speak," these are Jeremiah words. It says, "For since I speak, I cried out. I cried violence and spoil." And that's what we are doing today. We're crying the violence and the spoil. Right? And what is that? We're speaking about World War III. We're speaking about martial law. We're speaking about famine. We're speaking about famine. We're speaking about FEMA camps or concentration camps being set up. We're speaking about Esau using his military power and strength to come against the people, to come against the inhabitants of the earth, which is ultimately martial law. We're speaking about men dying in wars. We're speaking about men dying in cities, men not being able to go into cities. These are all prophecies, man. And that's what we're doing. We're crying of violence and spoil. It says, "Because the word of Yahweh was made a reproach unto me, and a derision daily." And with that, and right, this form it tell you in the book Paul spoke about in the 1 Corinthians. Paul spoke about that the preaching of the cross to them that perish are foolish, or it is foolish. Right, so to them that perish, to the wicked, to the 2/3 of Israel, this form of teaching is foolish. Right, also tell you in the book of Wisdom of Solomon that from the perspective of the wicked and from the perspective of the unbeliever, the prophets and the believers are spending their life in madness or are mad or will have no honor at the end. But we will have honor, you know? So really, you know, this ministry is making us a household joke in the cities. You know, that's why Yahushua said, you prophet, Yahushua spoke about a prophet not having honor in his own country, you know, or in his own city, loosely paraphrasing, you know, and that's true. A prophet have no value. A prophet do have honor, but not amongst his own people, not amongst his own countrymen, you know, and that's the life that you're gonna have to live, that you're gonna have to suffer in order to achieve salvation. This is because the word of Yahweh was made a reproach unto me and a derision. So and you know, a lot of us we're becoming household jokes, man. You know, we're being made a reproach. You know, they see the fringes, they see us out there teaching His word, and they laugh at us, they scoff, they look down upon us, they lift their nose up against us. Verse 9. It says, then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. And, you know, that's Jeremiah. Which Jeremiah, he was going off at that point. You know, because basically he was going through it. And it was becoming a burden for him. But he endured at the end of the day. You know, verse 9, it says, but his word was in my heart. And yeah, and this word is in our heart, man. It's in our mind, man. Those of us that, you know, receive this word. As a burning fire shut up in my bones. Meaning what? We cannot contain, we cannot withhold, we cannot shun this counsel, we cannot shun this truth, man. You know, and you know, a lot of us, we have a desire, we have a desire to communicate this truth to the people, to teach the people, to warn the people. You know, this word, or we're inclined to, you know, communicate this truth. You know, no matter how we're feeling, no matter exhausted we are. You know, it says, and I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. You know what? We cannot contain, we cannot hinder this truth. We gotta teach it, man. And a lot of us feel like that. You know, verse 10. It says, for I heard the defaming of many. Yeah, we're defamed. You know, especially, you know, you got GMS being defamed by even those of the Israelite community. It says, for I heard the defaming of many, fear on every side. And what's one thing they call the prophets? You know, they used to call, you know, the older apostles at Great Millstone, and, you know, different members of Great Millstone, fearmongers. Right? Because we're prophesying about terrible things coming to pass, you know, coming in the future. And that's what the prophets are, you know, going to do. You know, and that's true. They call us fear on every side. And today they call us fearmongers. You know, and we do speak about fear coming, man. We do speak about terror coming. When it says fear is concerning terror. You know, so we do talk about Jacob's troubles, the great tribulation coming. We do talk about martial law, World War III coming. We do talk about so much death going to come, man. We do talk about famine, man. That's what we're supposed to do, because it's going to happen, man. Whether you want to believe it or not. So we could be, it don't matter, we could be called fearmongers. Let's be called that, man. You know, because we supposed to strike fear. This word's supposed to fear men, man. What did Habakkuk said? I have heard thy speech and was afraid, man. This is gonna make you get right, man. at the end of the day, if you part of the elect, you know, these words are like golds. Now, what is a gold? Now, a gold is a instrument or object used to basically poke an animal to direct an animal in the right way. And what these words supposed to be doing, man? Basically, inciting us, basically encouraging us, you know, to go in the right way. How many times have you brothers thought about a scripture? You like, nah, I don't want to be like that. No, I got great. How many times you believers thought about the scriptures that warn you, such as being slothful or a man that don't teach the word? How many times you brothers thought about that and got motivated after, man? Because you fear the Lord, man. They tell you the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. Right, so yeah, man, we be fearmongers, man. Because Yahweh is a terrible being. Right, verse 10, it says, "For I've heard of the fame of many." And a lot of people, they're talking down. They talking shit about this ministry. It says, "Reports say they, and we were reported." It says, continue on, it says, "All my familiars watch from my halting." And that's true. When you come into this truth, your friends, even your family members, they're gonna they're gonna, when they see you profess this good profession, they're gonna be watching, even hoping, even seeking for your slip up, for your falling. You know? It says, "All my familiars watch for my halting, saying, peradventure, he will be enticed. And we shall prevail against him, and we shall take our revenge on him." And that's what he did to Jeremiah. And that's a lie, and that's the same. That's the same situation that Jake is in. That's in his truth. Verse 11. This is the part I wanted to get. It says, "But Yahweh is with me as a mighty terrible one." Now, when you go into that word terrible, meaning what? Terror striking. And Yahweh, he's a mighty terrible one, man. And tell you in the book of horrible is the end of this unrighteous generation. So, and who's going to bring that horrible end to this unrighteous generation? Yahweh will. Yahweh Ba'ashem Havashai will. It says, therefore my persecutors shall stumble. Now, and that's true. Our persecutors going to stumble in these last days. We're going to fall. It's going to be disappointed, man. Going to be ashamed. Because while we're teaching about things to come, and when these things actually do come to pass, ain't gonna be no hope for these motherfuckers, man. And guess what? They're gonna remember the prophets that have been teaching, man. They're gonna remember the prophets that have been prophesying. The things that's gonna happen to them. And they're gonna think upon that. They're gonna think back to these teachings. They're gonna think back to the prophets, and they're gonna be deeply ashamed and perplexed within themselves. It says, "Therefore my persecutors shall stumble." So our persecutors, those that come against this ministry, those that come against the prophets and come against the word, they're going to fail. They're going to be disappointed. It says, "And they shall not prevail. They shall be greatly ashamed." Shame meaning what? Disappointed. Because, and a lot of them hoping that this ain't true. A lot of them have hope and trust in this world. But his word is going to fail. It says, "For they shall not prosper, their everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten." And that also applies to the 2/3 of Israel. Because the 2/3 of Israel will have an everlasting shame or confusion. Or the 2/3 of Israel will be, it's going to be, when this world is destroyed, when Babylon the Great is destroyed and the devil has been put down, and the Lord, and after the Lord, will create a new earth and a new heaven, which is prophesied in the book of Isaiah chapter 66. After the Lord do all that and set up the kingdom of Israel, and everything is, all said and done, it's going to be known about the 2/3 of Israel. It's going to be known, it's going to be, like you have history in this world. Well, the 2/3 of Israel is going to be a part of history. Things in the past, things that happened in the past. It's going to be known that there was some Israelites in the old earth that didn't believe and were destroyed. Right? Because at the end of the day, when you go into Romans, it tells you that all Israel will be saved. So not all Israel is going to be burnt. Not all people are going to be burnt for all eternity. If you could receive it, you could receive it. But it's going to be known that there was a portion of people of Israel that didn't believe. Right? And it's also going to be known that Esau was the damn devil, man. Was the adversary. Right? Don't think, the history of this earth is going to be forgotten in the new earth. Don't think that, man. Even though Israel will be saved. Let's get the book of, I'm going to close off on this, these last scriptures. Micah chapter 7 verse 7, it says, "Therefore I will look unto you, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai." And that's what we are doing. Those that believe in Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, truly and in the sincerity, we're waiting on Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. We're looking unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. We're directing our attention to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. It says, "I will wait for the God of my salvation. My God will hear me." Verse 8, disappointed. It says, "Rejoice not against me, O my enemies." So the world may rejoice now against us, and it's going to come a time when, we're going to rejoice, man. It says, "Rejoice not against me, O my enemies," and we do have enemies, whether they're of the other nations or they're of Israel. It says, "When I fall, I shall arise. When I sit in darkness, the Lord shall be a light unto me." And this wisdom, this truth is a light. Verse 9, it says, "I will bear the indignation of the Lord." So right now we're bearing the indignation of the Lord. We are enduring the reproach. We're enduring the scoffers. We're enduring the adversaries. We're enduring the humiliation. We're enduring the opposition. Right now. It says, "I will bear we're enduring so much shit. It's a lot of things that, the brothers in this truth enduring, whether it's sicknesses of the flesh, whether it's, poverty, etc. So I will bear the indignation of Yahweh, because ultimately we're in a situation we're in because of our wickedness. We're in captivity because of our wickedness. We are in a low estate because of our wickedness. We are the poor and needy because of our wickedness. We are the widow and the fatherless because of our wickedness. Now, of course, if you're poor, that doesn't mean you're wicked. I'm not saying that, but the entire, just the majority of the so-called Black, Latino, Native Indians, we are in a very low situation. Compared to the other nations. It says, "I will bear the indignation of the Lord because I have sinned against them." And yet we have sinned against Yahweh Bashem Yahushai in the past and in this life. It says, "Until he plead my cause and execute judgment for me. He will bring me forth to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness." Verse 10 says, "Then she, that is my enemy," right? Now the woman, concerning the woman. You got a lot of female oppositions, man. You know, a lot of females in Israel gonna be put to death, man. The Lord have a problem with you females, man. Especially you females that come against the truth, that come against the prophets. It says, then she that is my enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, where is the Lord thy God? And yeah, shame is gonna cover a lot of these females. I mean, shame shall cover a lot of these females in these last days. Shame, disgrace, and dishonor. Right, so when these prophecies come to pass, when famine, World War III come to pass, amen, they're going to be in a sorrowful, sad case. Right, because you're going to have females getting raped by soldiers. You're going to have females starving to death. You're going to have females, you know, because you're going to have men going to wars, getting drafted to World War III. And you're going to have females here alone. You're going to have martial arts. All these things are going to happen. I cannot, you know, put any date on these, you know, prophecies, but it's going to happen, man. It says, where is the Lord thy, and, you know, it says, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, where is the Lord thy God? You know, and that's the female's mindset, man. When they hear this, they, you know, they turn away the shoulder, refuse, they scoff, they mock. It says, mine eyes shall behold her, now shall she be trodden down as the myrrh of the streets. So our eyes, those of us that believe in this truth and that came across these damn scoffing bitches, these damn mocking bitches that mock this truth and that mock this ministry and that mock this faith and this profession, our eyes are going to behold these different females. And we're going to see these their low estate. We're going to see the hell that they're going through, that they're going to go through, man. I'm going to close off from that. Lord willing, lessons edifying, double honors to the elder apostles, a great millstone and peace and blessings unto the elect and salute Shalom, to the fellow laborers in the truth and all praises and honor and glory be to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Shalom.